Yes, you can start now.
All right. Is there any way I can record that? Any way I can record that?
All
Yes.
session is recorded.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Iason Vasileiadis, or Jason Vasileiadis, if you prefer. I'm from Greece, and at the moment I'm working as a performance specialist at Exos Training Center in Germany. Today I'm here to present you my paper review, which is about injury prevention strategies in football. So let's start. So this is an overview of today's presentation. We will see the aims of the current study. We will talk briefly about the financial and the practical cost of injuries in the world of football. And finally, we will analyze the most common injuries and what are the most efficient methods that can reduce them. So the aims of the current study are to present the most common injuries in the world of soccer, to understand how those injuries affect football clubs financially and practically, and finally to suggest injury prevention strategies that can help S&C coaches deal with this problem. So let's talk about the phenomenon of injuries first. Here you can see the number of injuries that have happened from August to January in Barclays Premier League. There were more than 100 injuries in just 6 months. So it's quite prevalent that all English clubs have to deal with a great number of injuries every year. And actually, that's why Premier League board decided to give them a winter break for that season. So we can see right here on that slide that there is a problem. Now let's see the consequences of that problem. Now, football clubs spend a great amount of money every year to combat the problem of injuries. A really good example of that is, again, Premier League clubs, which spend £134 million in wages only for the first half of the 2017-2018 season. Those clubs didn't only have to pay for the rehabilitation of those players, but they also missed those players in crucial season games, and that's something that can always affect team season goals. Now, this study right here is an indicator of the practical cost of injuries in football. Hagel et al. Tried to find the relationship between injuries and performance in domestic and European competitions. They tracked 24 European clubs for 12 years, and they found that low injury rates were associated with higher league ranking, a higher position at the UEFA season club coefficient, and finally, better performance in UEFA Champions League and UEFA Europa League. So teams with higher injury rates have fewer chances to succeed in both domestic and European competitions. Now, the first step when we want to prevent injuries is to learn how those injuries happen. But why should we do that? Because if we identify the dangers, we will be able to design the right program and finally prevent injuries and protect our players. Now, according to Foucheux et al., the majority of injuries are a result of muscle contractions that involve explosive phases such as accelerations and decelerations. In addition, Delecluse and Wislov support that low levels of strength are linked with muscle injuries because explosive movements are interrelated with the strength ability. Now, regarding the time that those injuries happen, we have 25 to 35 injuries per 1,000 hours of games and 6 to 8 injuries per 1,000 hours of training sessions, something that sounds reasonable if we consider the level of control in both environments. And those are some factors that can always increase the number of injuries in soccer. The insufficient warm-up, the lack of flexibility, muscle imbalances, muscle weaknesses, fatigue, and previous injuries. So now let's analyze some of the strategies we can use to combat the problem of injuries in football. Those are some methods we can use. You can see them on that slide, and we will see them as we move forward. We will start with FIFA 11 Plus. Now, FIFA 11 Plus is a warm-up protocol designed by 2 international medical organizations and the medical department of FIFA. And the goal of this program is to increase strength levels and decrease the number of injuries. So this is the program. The duration is 20 minutes, and there are 3 different phases. the running phase, the strength, plyometric and balance phase, and the high speed and change of direction phase. On the second phase, which is more challenging, we have 3 different levels, so the program is adjustable to all players. Is it effective? Is FIFA 11 Plus an effective method to use? Yes, it is. Studies have shown that the implementation of 11 Plus reduced the number of overall injuries, game and training injuries, and the injury risk, while at the same time there was an improvement in static and dynamic balance with eyes open and closed, an improvement in conventional strength, and an improvement in fast and to slow speed ratio. Now let's move on to the next strategy we can use, the foam rolling. A common problem we face as strength and conditioning coaches after training and games is delayed onset muscle soreness that our athletes have. DOMS result in damages in muscle function and the joint mechanisms, and as a result of that, to negative effects to many neuromuscular functions, as you can see on that slide. Now, foam rolling is a form of bodyweight massage which aims to release the tension that exists in soft tissues, alleviate DOMS, and prevent soft tissue damages. Is it effective? Again, yes, it is. The research shows that foam rolling not only alleviates DOMS, but also improves joint mechanisms and neuromuscular efficiency, and finally correct muscle imbalances. Now let's talk a little bit about the 3 different methods we can use to increase hamstring strength. A reasonable question here would be, why should we focus on hamstrings? As you can see here, hamstring injuries are the most common type of injuries happens in football according to Ekstrand et al. And we can see that those real-life scenarios on that slide agree with Ekstrand's study. This is a study we did at Cardiff Metropolitan University. We analyzed data from Arsenal's football club injury room, and as you can see, injuries on the thigh area were really common. More specifically, hamstring injuries were the most common type of injuries happen for 4 different seasons at Arsenal Football Club. And you can see hamstring injuries represented here by blue bars. So there are 2 strength training methods proposed to combat this problem. The first one is pure eccentric strength training for hamstrings. You can see that on your left. On your left, you can see a 10-week program presented by Peterson et al., which reduced the number of hamstring injuries. And the second one on your right refers to a more holistic approach where we use a number of strength training exercises that aim to increase hamstring strength by using a combination of eccentric and concentric exercises. During this kind of training on your right, we use light load and many reps. This is more of the strength endurance training approach. So those 2 programs have been proved to be reliable and efficient when it comes to hamstring injuries. Now, finally, we have pre-activation routines and core stability training. Pre-activation routines are exercises which aim to engage body neurological system and activate muscles that will be used during training sessions and games. And sports scientists have come to an agreement that those exercises prevent injuries as they affect the neurological system, body kinetics, muscle and connective tissue strength levels. On the other hand, core exercises increase core stability and strength, and as a result of that, they affect positively the force transmission from the ground to the rest of the body. They minimize joint loads as they decrease energy leaks, and they build the foundation for upper and lower movements. All these things reduce injury rates. This is an example of a warm-up which involves both pre-activation and core exercises. There are 5 stations, and players spend 5 minutes in each station. On the first station, we will focus more on glute activation and movement mechanisms. On the second station, we focus on torso stability and strength. On the third station, we focus on proprioception and landing mechanisms. And finally, on the 4th station, we will focus on hip mobility, which we all know that it's crucial for football players. So, to summarize, injury incidence is a common problem in the world of football. And we know that the consequences are both financial and practical for football clubs. The scientific research, though, has proved that some warm-up and strength training routines that can reduce the number of those injuries exist. And some really good and effective training methods to reduce injuries are FIFA 11 plus, foam rolling, various strength training routines for hamstrings, and pre-activation and core exercises. Thank you.
Thank you, Iason. It's excellent presentation. We are enjoy listening to you.
Thank you.
Now, does any of you want to ask something? Okay, then I have one question. You are talking about training prevention with training. What you think about influence that part of training, proprioceptive training, on some part of motor abilities?
So
exist that influence?
Yeah, so we all know that proprioception plays a great role in injury prevention, and we all know that it must be part of the injury prevention programs. Sometimes we know that the role of this kind of training is crucial, but you can't use it. You can't do pure proprioception training. So we can add this kind of training to our routines and have the advantages and the effects that we want by doing this.
But are you think that that training can increase explosive power or some other ability?
Yeah, of course. When we talk about proprioception, we all know that we have many studies which show that this kind of training will affect the force transmission to the rest of the body, the muscles, will decrease the energy leak.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.